We ride together, we die together. Bad boys for life. Get busy living, or get busy dying.
Gang first, last. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Welcome to Brews and Reviews with Mick and Pat. I'm Mick.
And I'm Pat.
And each week we sit down with you degenerates to pretend we're certified cicerones and cinephiles.
That is right. So grab a cold one and join us as we review New Holland Brewing Company's Dragon Milk and Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves.
And if you've been with us before, you know what time it is.
Release the Kraken!
Well, you're going too fast for me.
It won't open.
Just trim that. Trim it so the bottle cap sound and the kts are closer together. Hey, I will say, the amount of times I say, hey, can you fix that in post and it's not done on this podcast is driving me up the fucking wall.
Because I think it's funny. I just think it's funny. It's just like, it just stays in there.
Right.
I think it's funny.
Anyways, let's get a good pour on this thing.
Yep. Pouring this Dragon's Milk. It was, it's like I said, is from New Holland Brewing Company out of New Holland, Michigan.
Michigan!
They started in 1997. The owner and founder, Brett Vanderkamp, believed his hometown and brewing industry were due for a shakeup. So he got to crafting his beer specifically around brewing and distilling and then sticking those things together to make these bourbon barrel aged stouts. On the bottle here, it's 11% by alcohol volume. I like the logo here. It's just clean, black and white.
It's a clean dragon.
Black and white is classic.
Yeah.
I'm pouring this over my laptop. We'll see how it goes.
Oh, whoops-a-daisy.
But here's what they have to say on dragonsmilk.com.
It has its own website.
It has its very own website. I couldn't find any information on the beer. Then I figured it has its own website.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah,
all right, go ahead.
All right. I need to sip. I need to wet my whistle before I...
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah.
That's straight out of some dragon tits. I can tell you that.
This is throughout the ages. The term dragon's milk has been used to describe potent ales and elixirs worthy of celebration, a reward at the end of a journey. We are proud to be stewards of that ancient tradition today. Handcrafted each batch of dragon's milk bourbon barrel aged stout in Holland, Michigan. The best liquid in our house is now yours.
Yeah, I would say I taste the freaking bourbon on this one.
Mm-hmm.
This ain't like no horse and dragon. Ironically, the other stout we had that was also bourbon aged was by the brewery. Help me out, man.
The brewery, Horse and Dragon.
I really struggle on that last W-E-R.
Buoy.
Buoy. But yeah, we're kind of on a stout theme. Can you take me through the journey of what the hell's in this beer and what its alcohol content is?
I can.
Definitely, like, as soon as you drink it, it feels like bourbon's going down your gullet.
Yep. So it is 11%, which is a little strong on the beer side of things. Gas station beer, 3.2% alcohol. That's your standard fish and Coors right there.
Really?
That's what it used to be before they passed a law so they could this club music's just right in my ears.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. I just need one click. Oh, there we go. That's perfect. I was about to have to get a Prince Albert.
Well, I was picking a new playlist from White Bet, but that one's a little too party. I'll go to the good old trusted
standard.
Our classic synthwave mix.
I like it. So anyways,
the Prince Albert?
Yeah,
What?
that's just whenever I hear that club music,
Oh.
I just think I don't fit in here unless I have one of those,
Gotcha.
which is never happening.
No.
So you're supposed to serve this stuff between 40 and 50 degrees. I'm assuming that's Fahrenheit, because if that was Celsius, that would be rather toasty.
Yeah, boiling hot
Yeah.
beer. Oh, that just makes me nauseous thinking about it.
Especially this thick beer that warm.
Yeah.
This is a roasted malt that delivers notes of coffee and chocolate, which are married with sweet undertones of vanilla and oak from a 3-month stay in bourbon barrels. The rest is a truly legendary blend of flavor.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll say this. Wait, one more time from the top.
So they
Did it
got
say oat or oak?
oak
Oak.
from the barrels.
There is an oatiness to it though, like a really strong oaty oatmeal, like more so than I feel like most stouts. Like it's kind of like think about a cinnamon bun.
Mm-hmm.
Think about a cinnamon bun, just olive flavors,
Mhm.
yummy cinnamon bun, and then take a sip of this while thinking about a cinnamon bun.
All right. Is it supposed to make you happier or make you sad?
No, there's definitely I think a cinnamon bun, oat,
Mm.
like bready, sweet bread taste.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know?
I agree. One theme with all these, these stouts we've been having is they rely on that coffee chocolate combo.
They really do, because without it, it'd be vomit.
Yeah.
Sorry, too harsh.
Hey, whatever you feel. This is a place where we.
I think all these beers that try to get in some kind of liqueur
Mhm.
have to rely on the vanilla or the cherry or the chocolate or whatever, kind of super sweet flavor. Because without it, it's just ass. It just kind of tastes like you threw up your dinner and tequila.
Oh God. Wow. Dragon's milk.
Yeah, this is what it tastes like when you eat a bowl of Cocoa Puffs and then drink a finger or 2 fingers of bourbon, and then you throw it up. No, okay, that's so harsh. That's not what
Well,
I think about this beer
but
at all.
I
But
think
I'm just saying,
there is
there
that-
could be a note of
that feeling the burning feeling you get on the back of your throat. It's kind of similar,
to bourbon or to throwing up. Yeah,
and bourbon, but the
heaviness of it.
yeah.
The heaviness makes me think of throwing up milk.
Aged in the teeth of a she-dragon for 487 years.
Wielded by the calloused paws of a dwarven miner.
Yeah, that's the only way to get those curds out of there. You got to have some strong blacksmithing hands to get those 400-year-old dragon milk curds out of there.
Ew, dude, I don't think it comes out curdy. That's so gross. That kind of ruined it for me.
Sorry,
I was
that's-
all about this, but when it became curds.
Well, all I'm picturing during that is the scene where episode 7, 8, 9, whatever it was, when Luke is just squeezing the blue milk out of that weird
Yeah.
island monster.
Episode 8.
Episode 8, yeah.
It was, and he throws the freaking lightsaber over his head. I'm
Yeah.
just like, this is not my Star Wars.
He just does
I
it
was within the first 10 minutes of that movie, I was like, it's not for me anymore.
You just have a guy crying with a weird plastic cup full of blue milk. From
Yeah.
this, at least we figured, and there's this joke about where the blue milk come from. We finally figured it out. But anyways,
Yeah.
we're not here to talk about that movie. But right now we're here to talk about this beer. And I think that it's time
For the Swish
for the
test?
Swish test.
Alrighty, folks, before Pat runs ahead of me here, what you do is take about a tablespoon amount of this into your palate. Then you let it go all the way to the back of your tongue without swallowing. And then you let it roll down the sides of your tongue underneath it between your rear molars and that little weird pit. And then you kind of flap your tongue in place a little bit like a... And then you swish it side to side. And then you push it with the top of your tongue. Kind of make a wall and you push it through your teeth. So follow me with it, all right?
Yeah, so I think that
I can't really talk you through the process while I'm doing it, because then it'll get beer everywhere.
for the tongue part, you got to act like a dog with peanut butter on his tongue, and then you have to act like the whale from Finding Nemo, where you're not trying to swallow the fish. You're trying to get them out of your mouth. So as you push it through your teeth. Like that. That's what I'm picturing when you describe that.
It really aerates it a lot.
Your
That's fucking bourbon, dude.
Your face just turned red.
Yeah, dude. I feel like just doing that. Like, tell me when you do that it doesn't make you feel like you're swishing around and out like a shot of bourbon in your mouth.
Yeah.
You didn't do it. You didn't push with your tongue. You didn't push it through your front of your
did.
teeth. Those big old chiclets.
Here's the deal. I have a dirty old party trick. I can gargle whiskey, dude. I can just sit
Are
there.
you for real?
Yeah.
You fucking animal. Holy shit. You an alcoholic, bro? Because like that's
I know, right? But it's actually it was just a lot of mind over matter.
How many times did you almost throw up?
Probably every time for the first couple.
Really?
Because you're just trying to hold it together.
Dude, I feel like that's such a brutal like sensation on your what is it, uvula?
Oh yeah, but that all those soft tissues back
Yeah.
there. But here's the deal, like, especially if you're with someone who's like drinking hard liquor for the first time and they make that like that sour pukey face.
Yeah.
And they only got like half their shot down.
Mm-hmm.
You stare them in the eyes, you pour it really slow into the back of your mouth, and you go and then just swallow it slow, staring. Don't never break eye contact, and just swallow it. Don't show any.
And what's this
emotion.
Is this supposed to make you guys best friends?
It's just
or is this just supposed to make them be like, okay, prick?
This is asserting your dominance over them.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
I'll tell you this. I've never felt dominated by anyone who can drink whiskey.
Yeah, one time there was another side tangent. We were at this whiskey bar, and the waiter there was trying to like serve us all this different types of whiskey, and he was like, "Yeah, right now, like I'm up to like I can handle like 2.5 bottles a day."
Holy fuck!
Yeah, dude, and he was a beanpole. He was not a big guy, and he was really creepy looking. He had kind of like the skullet going on, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
he had the skullet hairdo going on, and it was just like, he's like, women love men who can hold their liquor. I'm up to I can like keep my crap together with like 2.5 bottles in.
Keep my crap together?
Yeah.
There's no way his dick works.
Yeah, dude. I know, right, dude? Or like, yeah.
Can you imagine what your piss would be like? 2.5 bottles a day?
You'd be dying soon.
Your piss would smell like whiskey.
I think he's half a liar and half. I don't think he could actually handle that much. But 2, I do believe he was drinking copious amounts of high-end whiskey.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, I don't have anything nice to say. So flavor is coming through here. Definitely, like, for those of you at home joining us with this, especially our listeners out in the good old state of Michigan, brutal, a strong bourbon flavor. Not brutal, but like you can't ignore it. It's not subtle once you get that real nice aerated swish around. But I will say, I think the milkiness definitely like comes out as well, like that kind of sweet milk flavor. I don't know, man. I think they're kind of hitting everything they're shooting for here. It's another stout that I think is really kind of actually checking off every box that they claim to have.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm wondering, I'd like to compare, they have 4 versions of this beer. And I'd like to compare those. What do they taste like next to each other? Because this is just the standard that we're drinking here.
Yeah, this strikes me as something that, like, I don't know. I kind of, like, here's the thing. I like this, but also it strikes me as the same beer that someone's like, what? So you can only drink 2 of these? Well, I fucking drink 6 of these. And it's just like, you're miserable.
Yeah.
Like, you're a miserable person.
They have the Dragon's Milk Tales of Gold.
What makes it Tales of Gold?
It says it's made with what's that say? Sugar. There's some sort of sugar in there. Milk sugar? Malt sugar?
Isn't there sugar in all these? It's beer.
Yeah.
The carbs come from the sugar.
And then there's also the Crimson Keep, which is a red ale.
Oh, I'd try that.
Yeah. So I guess that's just a red ale that's been aged, not a stout. And then they have their their Mac Daddy. It's a 17% alcoholic volume, and it's the Dragon's Milk Triple Mash
Whoa.
Bourbon Barrel Aged Stout. Limited release, March 2023. We missed it.
I'm not sorry.
Yeah,
Because what's the alcohol content on that one?
17%.
Jeez, bro. I got shit to do, bro. I got to go to work this week. Like
Yeah.
I can't be having no 17% beer.
Yeah, it's a little crazy. It's a little wild for me.
Anyways, what's your thoughts, Pat? Come on. Give me your honest takes after getting a good swish through. Smoke break.
Smoke break.
Hey, Ken, it's Mick, and I've got something important to talk about. We all hope we never find ourselves in a self-defense situation, but life's unpredictable. Enter the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer, an actual credible law firm you can put on retainer for your self-defense needs. For just $35 a month, you get national coverage in all 50 states for criminal and civil legal representation in self-defense situations, complete with a 24/7, 365 toll-free emergency line. That's real legal support when you need it most. What's in the package? Bail bonds, scene cleanup, firearm replacement, even mental health counseling. Plus, 0 fees for a laundry list of defense-related costs like expert witnesses. So support the show and get yourself some peace of mind. Click the link in our show notes or visit our sponsors page to sign up for the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer.
Hey folks, Pat here. If you're like Mick and I, you're a fan of classic tales like Lonesome Dove, Blood Meridian, The Three-Body Problem, and Steinbeck's East of Eden. With Audible, you can dive into these epic stories anytime, anywhere. Sign up for a free month, and your first audiobook is on the house. To start your free trial and support our show, click the link in the show notes or swing by the sponsors page on our website.
Want an awesome website for your podcast? Check out Podpage. We use it for the Mick and Pat show, and it's a game changer. Set it up in minutes, no coding needed. Support the show by using our link to get started. Your podcast deserves a home as great as ours. Podpage, the one-stop solution.
Yeah, I think that I can't tell if I like that we even didn't mean to do this, but after doing the kombucha for a while, now we've been doing like lots of these stouts.
Well, I wasn't planning on getting it stout, but then you asked me to bring this one. And then last week,
and it just
last time I got the Nightmare Fuel
Yep.
for a stout. And then before that, you got 2 stouts in a row.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's
We had to put some boots, La Roja.
Roja.
Is that a sour? Was that a sour?
It was a sour.
Yeah. And it wasn't even that sour. It was a good
change
breakup. Yeah.
But then, so I can't tell if drinking all these stouts side by side or week after week if I like it or I don't like it, because I compare them to the other ones. Like, I still think that I really like the Horse and Dragon
You don't even remember its name, bitch.
Midnight Stallion.
There you go.
But the Midnight Stallion also was very expensive, so I was hoping it would be good.
This was, I think, $15 for a 4-pack.
$15 for 4. Yep. And so that one was like $20 for a
Liter.
bomber.
What is that? It's 18 ounces. It's 24 ounces.
Yeah, 2 pours, 2.5 pours. But this, I like this one. You know, it's got. I feel like it only has like 3 flavors that are coming through strong. Where certain other ones have had lots of different flavors going on. This one is like definitely chocolate, definitely coffee, and then got the whiskey.
Yeah, I think.
And I feel like those are just real prevalent.
Yeah, I'll be honest. This is kind of what I'd rather drink around Christmas time than what's usually available at Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
Like a once-a-year celebratory beer, I'd like to drink this.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way I'm drinking this, though, every single week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no chance are you going to find me drinking this beer probably twice in 1 month.
Right.
Like, it's just too potent.
Like
It's not battery acid with, caffeine
Yeah.
like a Nightmare Fuel was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not making my mouth go numb.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still strong, dude.
Yeah.
And especially if you don't like drinking whiskey regularly,
Mm-hmm.
this is not a beer that you're going to be having regularly.
Like, I wouldn't necessarily drink it in like a warm podcast studio with no airflow.
Right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sweating. How many thumbs do you propose?
Well, is it my favorite one? No. Is it better than the majority of these barrel-aged stouts that I've had? For sure.
Mhm.
For sure. It's definitely better than the majority I've had. Do I enjoy it enough to look forward to it the next time it's available? Probably. Do I want a second bottle? No. And so I think I'm going to say 1 thumb.
Mhm.
I'm going to give it 1 thumb simply because I think it is actually a good, like, litmus test for someone who doesn't know if they like these stouts or not.
Right.
I think if you have this one and you think, that's good, then just be prepared to accept that, like, a lot of them aren't as good as this,
Mm-hmm.
a little not as balanced, and that there are few that I've had that are better.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't like it, then you definitely know that you don't want anything else that this, category of beer has to
genre.
offer.
Right.
So, I mean, the design's cool. I think they hit everything they're going for. Like, I think it's exactly the beer they advertise. And so, yeah, I'm gonna give it a thumb up. I like it enough that I don't think it's just like skating by. It's one of those things, dude. I did a 6-pack sampler not too long ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought maybe I'm just like got my head up my ass.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a difference between all these IPAs, and they all taste like the same fucking thing
Mm-hmm.
from 6 different breweries. And I was just like, well, wow, like none of those are memorable.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I didn't even like stop to like write down their names or take pictures or try to keep in mind what they were, because there's no
Mhm.
way I'm going to go on my way to get any of them again. They were all the same thing, just with a different label.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
what are your thoughts, Pat?
Yeah, I think this would be a beer you should try. And like you were saying, you're good. If you don't like it, you're probably not gonna like much barrel aged stout stuff. If you do like it, then there's a whole world out there for you to go try more crazy things.
Yep.
Because this is a pretty simple one. I like it. I think that I would, next time the snow comes back around, I'll consider having it again. But as long as it's starting to be 75 outside, we're putting it away.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm giving it 1 thumb as well.
But you can't really rate it based on the weather, dude. Like, that's not like a fair rating.
Right.
That's an on you thing.
Well, that's why I'm giving it 1 thumb.
Okay.
But like, I would say like, there are, I think beers, even more than they pair with certain foods, pair with certain like
temperatures,
certain environments.
That's 'cause it's alcohol. It's a poison.
Yeah.
Literally has an effect on your body and your body temperature.
No, on the temperature outside. Like,
I know. That's why I'm
Yeah.
saying, like,
Mm.
the temperature outside impacts the way you feel about
the alcohol.
different kind of beers, because
Mhm.
it literally will change your temperature pretty
I see.
easily.
Because like, you'll be like, I feel like if drinking this in the summer would be like Ron Burgundy in the phone booth
Oh,
with the milk.
yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
oh, milk was a bad choice.
It was a bad choice. Oh, man.
But Dragon's Milk, I had super high hopes for it because I think that the logo was so dope and the name is so dope. I was
Yeah.
hoping they would just give me some sort of ancient powers.
I was going to get the horse and dragon summer shandy thing, but you came and begging me to get this.
I said,
And here we are, and you're not happy.
I said, quote, this may be a good one for tonight. Purely based off of
The movie,
the movie.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Which, let me tell you, Pat, it was a movie.
Oh, yeah.
Of all the movies, it was one of them. Perhaps out of everything I've watched in the last year,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps the most delightfully safe movie for anyone I can think. I cannot think of a single person who wouldn't be able to go watch this movie and enjoy it. Like, it is not a kids movie. It's not a kids movie like the Mario Brothers movie.
Right.
But it isn't an adult movie. And it's not like a young teens movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of really just a movie that I think checks enough boxes to be enjoyed by just about anybody. Like, I would have no qualms taking my mom to go see it, because I know my mother would go see it and be like, yeah, it was stupid. I give it like a 6 out of 10. And I'd be like, yeah, but would you have rather stayed home? I think she'd be like, no, it was fun. I enjoyed it. And she's a harsh critic too, though.
I think it's a little like, Guardians of the Galaxy-esque.
For sure.
That just on that,
definitely,
like,
I thought it was very Guardians of the Galaxy and Monty Python.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of really those two blended together. Like, it definitely makes jokes and humor without making me feel like they're making fun of Dungeons and Dragons. Like, it's not like they're like, haha, we're making fun of the stuff you like. It just is like, this shit happens. Like, this is a funny thing that happens in a game, and here it is in a movie.
Right. The like in one part of the movie where one guy's
spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, this won't be a spoiler,
Okay.
right? Yeah, but one part of the movie where guy's explaining all the rules of the whole thing, how to do this, how to do this, how to do this whole thing, and then it's just like all these complicated as hell rules, and then like it just like basically doesn't end up happening.
It's foiled.
It's foiled. Yeah, it's just like
because of one
everyone's
person.
Yeah, because one guy screws it all up.
Yeah.
And it's just like that sounds pretty. That I've never played Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
but
you loser.
But it seemed.
Can I bully you into playing?
Yeah, you can, this whole night you can bully me about how big of a nerd I am for not playing Dungeons and Dragons. I do want to play someday. I think it would be great fun.
It's great fun. But yeah, no, that is like a lot of this movie, I think, was really well geared towards people who had played the game, because a lot of it is riffing off of the kind of like worst parts of the game. You know what I mean? Like, or not the necessarily the worst parts, but just the most like parodied parts of like the dungeon master makes this super complex puzzle that like there's no way the players would ever figure it out. So he has a character in the game explain the puzzle to the players. And it's so complex, and it's really kind of just for like, isn't this thing super difficult and complex that I planned, and like all these different intricate pieces about it, and then like, you know, players and their infinite wisdom figure out like a single thing to do to ruin it.
Yeah,
and like it's something you never thought of, and you're just like, oh, okay, foiled.
Yep,
destroyed. I guess they're gonna have to. Well, now you got to figure out a way around it because you broke it. And I think like that is like, you know, very lampooned in a favorable way in the movie. But alrighty,
if you were to summarize this in 2 or 3 sentences,
well, that's what I'm about to do.
What would you say?
I would say, and this is kind of the definition off the IMDb page, but Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves is about a charming thief played by Chris Pine and a band of unlikely adventurers that embark on an epic quest to retrieve a lost relic. But things go dangerously awry when they run afoul of the wrong people. The most not saying anything like description I think I've ever. Things go bad when they run amongst bad people. Whoa. And my like footnote on it is like the true treasure though is the friends that became family along the way, because that's really what the movie's about. The movie's literally about becoming closer with those who travel with you to be by your side in hopes of, you know, achieving a righteous, lofty ambition. And then for this movie, spoiler alerts and whatever, but not really, because probably explained in the trailer. Chris Pine's character, Chris Pine from Outlaw King, Star Trek, Wonder Woman, is a bard, and wife die. Real sad. So he goes to jail for committing crime. Daughter ends up thinking he went away to like rob and steal and abandoned her to make money. And his whole goal really was actually to go on this adventure to find this relic that can bring wife back, bring mama back. And when he gets out of jail, his daughter's just like, "You're a piece of shit, and you abandoned me." He's like, "No, no, no, no." And it's then about him getting this relic to bring his wife back and clear the air with his daughter, kind of rescue her, but it wasn't like she was really in danger. Like that guy was out, like Hugh Grant's character, Hugh Grant from Mickey Blue Eyes and About a Boy. Hugh Grant wasn't ever going to kill his daughter, and he was helping her escape.
Yeah.
Like he was going to take her with him, so she wasn't ever really in danger. She was just being, kind of used as a tool against him. Michelle Rodriguez plays the same character she plays in everything, but has more to work with here. I thought this is a better character than her usual characters, because Michelle Rodriguez always plays the tomboy, independent Latino woman who's able to kick ass and kind of get beat up, and then when she's like got slashed against the wall, she looks up and she's like, "Looks like that's it, kid. Lights out." And then, she dies or something like that. Like she always has like that "sorry to let you down" line as she's like slumped against the wall dying. And if you don't know what I'm fucking talking about, you haven't seen enough movies with Michelle Rodriguez, because that's her in every movie. But in this, she's from Fast and Furious franchise, Avatar movies. In this, she has a lot more to work with, I think, because they wrote her to be kind of the stereotypical, like, strong but dumb barbarian. And she's essentially Drax. Like, she's Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. And she says dumb things and things that of someone with not a high intelligence would say. And, like, for her to say that and you recognize, you're like, wow, I'm so used to this chick not being able to have, like, anything about her characters are so tough and so strong, independent women that there's never really any like cracks in the stone to really poke at. But in this movie, you could tell she's really enjoying being like a big dumb barbarian, and like she as an actress would definitely know it, They're supported by a couple other people: Justice Smith from Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom and Detective Pikachu, Sophia Lillis from the It movies, the two that just got remade. Then Regé Jean Page. He is from the movies Diamond of the First Water. He had a bit role in The Gray Man and After the Rain. And I loved him in this movie. I thought he was great. He played a paladin. But if you played Dungeons & Dragons, he's what is known as a non-player character. And he's essentially the thing that, like, a narrative device that like a dungeon master would put into a game to help the players like navigate things that are difficult or confusing. And then when he's done, what does he do? When he's done and he's served his purpose, he just walks off in a straight line. And like that's kind of the whole bit, is like the idea of like he's not a real character in the movie. He's supposed to be kind of like the director's shoo-in in the movie or something like that, to be like just a simple narrative device. And I got a lot of catharsis out of that, because sometimes your players are just too dumb.
It's gotta help them through.
You literally have to make yourself a player to help them figure it out.
It's like, there was even a line he had where he's like, just like, take my hand, I will lead you to the light. Or like, things like that. And just like, he was not human. And he couldn't deal with irony. He couldn't deal with colloquialisms. He couldn't deal with any of that stuff. He was like,
well, that's also a bit on paladins. Paladins are supposed to be like letter of the law good guys that have no sense of humor.
Right.
And I thought they did a good bit about that, making him like not fun. Like he's not funny. He has no real personality.
He's pretty much an empty shell.
Yeah. But I did love his intro, where he's literally just doing like a good deed left and right. He's kind of just like Jesus. No, you're not tracking. You know what I'm saying?
I am sorry. I was Googling Paladin because the Paladin I know is a Western movie, which I know.
Western movie?
I know. I was going to bring it around for you.
What?
I know, but to the messianic figure, I thought the same way. Yeah, he just kind of is like this, like
the baby out of the fish.
Yeah. He delivers a baby out of the fish, and even like when he's like, the first time they introduce him, he's like holding that guy's head as he dies, and he's like, "I'll protect this helmet for you."
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, that's kind of the movie in a short thing. Directors, John Francis Daly from Freaks and Geeks and Bones, and Jonathan Goldstein, who looks like he's mostly been a writer and directed the movie Game Night, which was a great movie. I really enjoyed Game Night. That was a really funny, like, rom-com action. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it.
Is it with Steve Carell?
No.
That's a different
That's
one.
Date Night.
Date Night.
Game Night is with Jason...
Sudeikis.
No.
Jason Bourne.
No. Jason from... son of a bitch.
Oh, from How I Met Your Mother?
No. That's Jason Segel.
I know. I'm just trying to... Brief Google break while we recalibrate our brains.
Game Night cast. Because now I feel bad. Jason Bateman.
Yes.
John Francis Daly's in that movie. He's an actor in that movie. Oh, so is Jonathan Goldstein. Wow, weird. But anyways, it's a great movie, really fun. And this definitely had the same kind of comedic energy as that movie did. You know, like a lot of good fun, some serious action moments, but mostly just enjoying watching friends do things that friends do. So yeah, what did you think, Pat? I mean, you saw it a little bit more recently than I did. I saw it over a week ago. You saw it just today.
Yeah. I like you. I thought it was a movie. I thought it was a movie with a large budget, and I enjoyed it. I watched it in the theaters, which was, I think it's like the third movie I've been to since COVID in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
So I forgot about the joyful experience of sitting in the movie theater.
Yeah.
I was the only one in there.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Wow. When I went, crazy. it was pretty full.
Yeah, she didn't go at 3:00 on a,
Monday.
So I do have a job. I just snuck away from it for a few hours.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a fine movie. While I was watching it, I kind of picked up on like the subtleties of like, oh, that was a joke about Dungeons and Dragons for people who play it. But I could take a little bit of like fourth party joy from it, just being like, okay, nice work. But I couldn't be like
give me an example of a joke that really you felt like didn't land, but probably would have if you played the game.
Yeah, no, I feel like even the guy walking off in the straight line, like you just mentioned,
like a robot.
Yeah, like a robot.
Yeah.
There was the same one I mentioned earlier where the guy's just like spouting off all these rules. And then after this whole monologue, it's all a moot point.
But don't you think that's also kind of like could be enjoyed by just making fun of like fantasy movies as a whole?
Yeah, that's true. I thought that
there's literally a chess scene in Harry Potter.
Yes.
Hey, man.
Yeah, it's true.
How do you get more complicated than that?
This is true. One thing that I thought that I picked up on throughout the entire movie that I thought was kind of funny was that just like nothing they ever did actually mattered. Meaning, I feel like this probably happens in a lot of Dungeons and Dragons games where there's this big overarching story, but you have to have all these little levels in there. And then just because they complete this one task, you kind of have to be like, oh, now you have the magic wand of Asgard, but turns out it doesn't even work, and then it's like, so we can get together next week, guys, like kind of like it, because in one sense just kind of like I thought it was kind of funny, like because if you never want the game to end and you still want to get together with all your buddies every week on a long campaign, it's called a campaign.
Yeah,
you just kind of maybe every once in a while the dungeon master's just like, and so then all of a sudden everything you just did doesn't matter, so we can hang out and eat pizza rolls again.
Wow.
But I think that is fun. What do you think about that?
I 100% agree with what you're saying.
Okay.
Anyone who's a dungeon master and worth their salt is like crying at like the insult you just gave. Because here's the thing.
I'm not dissing as much as I'm playing at the fact that like you want it to keep going.
Yeah, you want it to keep going even as the dungeon master, but you recognize the thing that makes it valuable the thing that makes these characters cool and makes the players want to keep playing is that it can end.
Yeah.
And like when you do end it, the finality gives it all so much weight, but it's really hard to do.
Yeah.
And then you just create a new story.
Yep.
Take a note, Star Wars. Good Lord.
Yeah. For real. I thought on that
it.
note, I thought the movie was going to end with them like leaving
Sailing
on the
off?
ship and then just like,
Seeing the city die.
yeah, well, seeing the city die, but not because they like, not with them. It wasn't going to end with them sailing off. I thought it was going to end with them turning around and then cut there.
Oh,
Like they completed,
see that,
like
yeah.
they completed the campaign.
yeah.
Really, they'd done what they came to do. But it was a great setup for the next campaign, which was like,
Now you got to go.
movie 2. You got to go fight the Red Wizard for a whole movie's worth of campaigning.
Gotcha.
And so like I thought that were, because it's a movie and they have to wrap it up all the way.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have done that. But tell me if you agree with this. Maybe Dungeons and Dragons folks would have appreciated something like that more even.
Mm.
No.
I don't think so, because I think there was so much like
Left
skepticism.
Mm.
Like, because there was a really shitty D&D movie that had one of the Wayans brothers in it.
Oh my God.
Oh, dude, it was so bad. It was so bad. I didn't ever even seen it. I've just seen like clips of it on YouTube, and it's bad. It's so bad. It's like they had no idea what the hell they were doing. Like they had no idea what they wanted the movie to be. You know what I mean? But I think everyone who knew, like, okay, it's so easy to take something like this, because you either get the first Transformers movie,
Yep.
or you get the first G.I. Joe movie, and it's hardly ever in between.
Yep.
And I think for the most part they hit the first Transformers movie. Like, it is an enjoyable movie, maybe a little long in the tooth. Like, probably could have been a little bit shorter. I would say, like, I'd say there's probably 10 minutes of stuff that could be cut.
Yeah, it ended a few times, or like
It got close.
restarted a few times.
Yeah. Like, there's a couple things that I think could have been montages, but I think exactly what you said though about like this, like it keeps going and nothing really matters. I really do think that's kind of hard to really convey, like the the globe-trotting adventure, and to do that in 90 minutes I think is impossible.
Right.
Like, to give every set piece a moment it deserves to really enjoy the characters and stuff.
Yeah, because you got to do 3 Peter Jackson movies with extended editions, like
Exactly.
to really.
Bro, do you know how Peter Jackson? Side note: do you know how he did those movies?
I think I do, but tell me.
He quoted them the budget for all 3 movies, which was just the budget for the first movie,
And
and then he only filmed like a quarter of each of those movies, and then he went back to him. He's like, "I need more money to finish them."
Yeah.
And they're like, "The fuck,
Yeah,
Peter?"
it's genius.
Yeah, and he's like, "Well, here's what I have for the first movie. Here's what I have for the second movie. Here's what I have for the third movie. What do you guys think of that?" Oh, of course we're gonna fucking finish it now, but like, dude, not cool. Like, super disingenuous. Peter's like, just gotta beat them at their own game.
Yeah, dude. I feel honestly,
And
if
you know
you're-
he couldn't get away with it twice, and that's why the Hobbit movies are the way they are.
Yep. And I feel like the in any other like business endeavor, I feel like that's just dirty. But in Hollywood, man, like that's just doing business.
Yeah, and he knew that what he needed to make those movies.
Yeah.
In Lord of the Rings, this is not. And Lord of the Rings, it never tries to be.
Yeah, that's true.
It never aspires.
'Cause that would really piss off some D&D people.
Yeah, because
If they're like, this is going to be as cool as Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
but we really
I think that
fail
piss
at
off
it.
a lot of people. You know, like, I
Right.
love Lord of the Rings, and I loved Lord of the Rings well before I loved Dungeons and Dragons.
That's what I mean. D&D people are generally speaking, not to lump all these people into one group, but
Yeah.
they also like Lord of the Rings and Dungeons and Dragons people. They kind of.
I feel like there's definitely a big Venn diagram there.
I feel like it's a really
Big
huge
over.
Venn diagram.
You'd be surprised how many people in the D&D communities are pretty like
Anti.
woke, liberal, anti anything to do with white author
Oh,
writing
yeah,
a world
yeah,
where
yeah.
the bad guys are orcs that
Yeah.
are dark skinned.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep, I see.
And
I see that.
even though you point out stuff to them like, but the big bad orc is a white orc.
Yeah.
And the big bad guys in charge of the orcs are white guys, and they're old. They have all the power in the world. It's just, so how are the orcs black people now? they'll come up with a reason and an excuse of how they are, right?
Yeah.
And even though you can be like, whatever, like, doesn't matter. It's supposed to be medieval England. There are no black people, guys.
Yeah. And if
look how far north of the equator that is.
Yeah.
But anyways, Lord of the Rings aside, this to me, I really did feel like I was watching kind of the Holy Grail. It's the Monty Python and the Holy Grail, but with CGI and a better budget. Yep. And not running out of money and having to just cut the movie off real fast, because that's what happened with that movie. Like, no, a lot of people I don't think know, but like Monty Python and the Holy Grail ran out of money, and rather than getting more money, they just ended the movie. Like very haphazardly.
I thought it was when the credits rolled, it shows a flashing screen before the credits roll, and I thought it was an intermission.
What? Like, you were like, this movie's still going?
Because I had heard of Monty Python for years and years and years, like by my dad. Like my dad's generation are the people who were like pumped on Monty Python. You know, for them it's like this cult classic. You know,
for them it's like the Dave Chappelle show,
right? Exactly. Yeah. And so they're like, so then you like finally watch it, and then it just ends. And I didn't even watch when I watched it. I didn't even know it was like a funny movie. You know, I watched it when I was like,
"Whoa!" When did you realize it was a funny movie? Like when he comes out in their. Like he doesn't have a horse?
Like the second time I watched it. You know, like...
What? You didn't laugh when...
I was like 10. So
I was 10 and I thought it was hilarious.
I'd say this. I still thought it was funny, but I didn't realize it was like total comedy. I thought it was also a movie about knights.
All right, circle it back to Dungeons and Dragons somehow.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is I thought that when that movie ended, I thought it was just an intermission. And this movie did have an ending. And this movie, I did feel that same pacing where it was like just little quest after quest, which was great. Like knights on their quest after quest, a little, misfit band chasing down these artifacts or whatever they'd be called. And I thought was the two funniest things I thought in the movie was one, when like the paladin character is like, he calls one of the places they're going into like the dark orifice.
Yeah.
I just thought that was hilarious.
Well, it's because he's a paladin. He has no sexual content. He's never had sex.
But it's just like, and then like Chris Pine's like, did you say orifice? I was just like, I think that's a funny word.
Yeah.
I never use it in a medical sense. I only use it to
refer to
be funny.
A butt.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think like what I really see in that kind of like hippity hoppity from set piece to set piece is really the classic of like I need the players to know how badass this paladin NPC is. That like he's really strong,
right? So
here's all these bad guys that he takes down single-handedly. And then it's like, oh wait, maybe my players aren't enjoying this when I'm just playing by myself.
Yeah, because
so
they
like,
didn't help him.
No, and he's like, quickly before they get back up, and like immediately they're back up, and it's just like,
it was so fast,
waste of time. Why did you have to? You didn't even slow them down. You just showed everyone you could beat them up, and then now you have to run.
Yeah, because the dungeon master's like, and then Zinc, he drew his sword in a wild way, and then Zinc took his arm and broke it, and then I just tell this whole story. It is on and on.
Well, it I think like that, and then it right before that is the whole bridge thing, right, that we discussed, like the bridge trap. And like the classic is like the players break it, and now they have no way across, and now the players are like, oh shit, we have no way across, and you as a dungeon master are like, oh man, I don't have a backup plan. Oh wait, yes, that little stick that you're carrying happens to be a teleportation.
Happens to be one of the most powerful
magic items of all time.
Yeah,
and like it's all about what are those called? MacGuffins. Like D&D operates on the basis of MacGuffins, like things that exist solely to keep the plot moving and have no purpose outside of advancing the plot. And as soon as they've advanced the plot, they're rarely referenced again. Because you're right. And in the movie, spoiler alert, Michelle Rodriguez dies as usual, and then she's revived as usual. Because that's what always happens with Michelle Rodriguez. She dies and then comes back in like literally everything she's in. And if you don't remember that, you haven't seen all the Fast and Furious movies,
too pretty
or
to kill
Lost,
off.
or Resident Evil, or anything else she's in.
Yep. At what point did you know he was going to use the tablet to bring her back instead of the wife?
Immediately, I saw she had a knife in her. Immediately,
yeah.
I was like, oh well, okay, that's the use of that MacGuffin.
Yep, I knew
is the use of moving on.
I knew it was the scene when they're in the bar, and first of all, he's like,
"Oh, for real?
Yeah, yeah.
Like that early on?"
Yeah, because the scene before, he's like, "She was like my sister." Like classic, like I don't like her. She's like, I like her like my sister.
Yeah,
or whatever. But then the next scene was they're both in the bar, and she's like, I hate his lips. 'Cause like she wants to kiss his lips or whatever. But then I was like, oh, he's gonna have to save her instead of his wife.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And and then I started to doubt myself. Like maybe we'll bring back the wife. And then
I never thought he was gonna bring back the wife. I thought he might have to use it on his daughter.
Oh yeah, yep. That'd be a good use of it.
Yeah. Alrighty. Other thoughts of the progression of the movie? You all right there, dude?
No, this dragon milk is trying to kill me from the inside.
It's dragon's milk, bro. It's fiery. There you go.
No, that was a 1/8 of what I need to come out of me.
You need to go on a walk like an old man. You're gassy. You need to go for a walk and just work it out.
Ate 4 pieces of Domino's and drank this heavy beer.
It's true. This was the wrong beer for post Domino's. It was a real bad call.
Am I green?
Dude, no, but you don't. You just look like
pale.
Honestly, with how wide your hair is right now, you look like a fucking cartoon character.
I look like Carrot Top.
Yeah.
But so here's what I wanted to ask you. What you thought about. So for the record, I've never played Dungeons & Dragons. You play, and you typically take the role of Dungeon Master.
Unfortunately.
And so from your perspective, putting on that hat, what this movie, tell me.
Whoa, big boy.
There, it happened.
Abracadabra.
So put that hat on and tell me about, from that perspective, what you thought of this movie.
I thought it was good. Mm-hmm. I mean, I went in with such low expectations. I felt like it didn't belittle or what's that?
Like patronize or
denigrate? Denigrate? You know what I'm talking about.
I'm bleeping that one out.
Okay, hold on. Let me look this word up, bro, so I can play it. Degradate, right?
You just combined the banned word with segregate.
No.
Oh my god.
Just hold on a fucking moment. Denigrate.
Yeah.
Denigrate. Yeah.
Denigrate.
I fucking suck at pronunciation. Okay? Anyways, you're denigrating the word denigrate. All right. But no, I didn't think it denigrated D&D in any way, shape, or form. I thought that it was actually pretty good for talking pieces of getting people interested to play. I mean, the dude I went and saw it with right afterwards, he's like, dude, I really want to play Dungeons and Dragons. I was like, all right, just how about Friday?
Yeah.
And he's like, dope. And then he came and played this Friday.
Nice.
But his expectations were also too high, I think, a little bit of right after the movie. So right after the movie, he's like, I really want to play now. And I'm like, well, let me just level with you for a little bit. They definitely pulled out a lot of the stops on this, but they also didn't, which was weird. It was kind of they really wanted the super high level spells to be available. When she starts pulling meteors out of the sky.
That's pretty. That's
like a really high level spell.
Yeah.
When she does time stop, that's a super high level spell. But then the bard character played by Chris Pine doesn't even have access to any spells, which is that's what bards do. They play AC/DC and Purple Rain, and they use that music to cast dope ass charismatic spells that literally change time and physics. And so it's like one of those things sometimes like it was kind of all over the place. Like it wasn't like really in the scale that the game is, but that it doesn't need to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
What it needs to do is tell a decent story that really conveys kind of the idea you have about your own time playing D&D. And I'll tell you this.
Mm-hmm.
I think my experience with D&D is a better story and more entertaining than that movie. But the movie did a great job of characterizing the way you feel afterwards with like, okay, went through this adventure with people who maybe I didn't even know that well. By the end of it, I feel like we're all pretty good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is, bro, there's people I started playing D&D with that I didn't know well at all.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end, they were crying over my character dying.
Oh man.
Like it was the first time I played D&D, right? And we played for like this one campaign for like 6 months or something, maybe 6 months, maybe it was like four or 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, my character was like died in the very last session.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, there was people like that legit like tears. The dude who was DMing, we had never met before, but we had become such good buds, and he was crying that he killed my character. Like it wasn't like nerdy, like, you know, not nerdy, but like, what's the term? What's that hat that the like fat nerdy atheist meme guy always wears? Fedora.
Yeah.
It's not like the fedora like complaining crybaby I didn't get my way crying. It's
Right.
like the dude. I only actually just now realized I knew you as this character.
Yeah.
And part of me thinks that like are we still friends? Like, are
killed
we
you
still
off.
friends?
Yeah.
Did our friendship just die with him? And it was like a moment of like, wow, I just realized like the amount of laughs and like
Mm-hmm.
incidents of conversation and growth. Dude, I remember like it was like the third night we were playing D&D. It was like the third week.
Mm-hmm.
And this one player we had caught stealing from the rest of the group.
Mm-hmm.
So we ambushed him on his way back from the bathroom in the kitchen. And I pulled out like my keys and I used them as like a knife on his neck. And we were like, bro, don't you fucking steal from us anymore, right, motherfucker? We'll handle this shit. and like it was all fun and games because he knew like we were close already by that point, and he knew there's no way I'd ever put a real knife to his neck or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And he'd like without a beat, he didn't even like he laughed for like half a second, like, and then like serious face, he's like, all right. Message received. And then we like went back to the table, sat down and ate food and played the game, right? And it was it was so fun. And it's like you see that, and then you see this movie, and this movie not nearly as good as like actually having that memory with your friends, right? But this movie makes you remember that.
Because I feel like you get a chance. I think this does give a lot of people a chance to like come out of their shell and like voice their creativity and have a place where you can. It's like have you seen the movie Walter Mitty?
Mm-hmm.
He has he plays those like hyperbolized versions of his life out in his head. It's a chance for you to just get to sit down and do that.
That's I think like the ethos of D&D.
Yeah,
is to do that. I also think D&D is a great place to have like, and the movie doesn't do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like really, if the movie plays it safe with the ethical dilemmas, because it has to be a story of good guys that go do good things. Otherwise, you might not enjoy it. Excuse me. Now, dude, it's my turn for the dragon milk.
Yeah.
But dude, in normal D&D, like I've had my players have to pick and choose between literally letting like a whole village of people die to just spend a couple more days kind of advancing their status, like in a government or something like that. And like I describe it brutally, like when they get to that village, like they see like the skin drying on like racks, you know, they see like the slaves and like people who have just been turned into like cow feed. And then like, yeah, dude, no, so for real, right? And like, because I never want them to think it's ever gonna like not be a consequence. I want them to feel like the game has consequences. Otherwise, it's not fun. Otherwise, there's no cost. I've had them choose between like actually legit having to pick like not just save a kid or save a grown man. Like
Save
no, which
group.
like which kid?
Oh yeah.
Like just there's 3 kids. Like which one are you gonna save? Like you can't save all the kids. Or maybe if you are willing to die and let your character die, you could. But then it's like, man, I've been playing as this character for like 6 months. It's a fake kid. This kid's not real.
Yeah.
But my character's not real. All right, so what am I gonna do since there's no real consequences?
Mm-hmm.
It's the only real consequences are I throw away everything I've been playing for the last 6 months
Mm-hmm.
to save a fake fictional character. Stuff like that is really fun. And then like I think of course just the grandiose, like you have T-minus 24 hours in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Make plans. When the clock strikes, there's no more planning. Game is going. Game is rolling. And so then like watching a group of people strategize on how to solve a problem and plan, watch the plan fall apart, like all that stuff is really fun to watch them do. And a lot of people will complain and bitch and moan and be like, that's not fun, it's so stressful, or that's not fun, that's like the part that slows the game down the most. But then you like, I think when you're not there and you just think about how much time you spent with people you care about, undistracted by your phone, planning out a hypothetical situation that is literally just a game, but how much how invested everyone was around the table, like that is fun. That is way more fun than being by yourself watching TV. That's way more fun than talking to your buddies over a headset and only having like an hour of like actual real conversation. You know what I mean? And a lot more life-giving. And I think that's a good thing that the movie did. It was like show like this is a very fruitful thing. Like no one of the cast in the movie of the little band of adventurers, none of them end up unhappy or lonely or cut off or emo kind of I'm Batman and I'm a loner.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't happen. Like it ends and they all have a good opportunity ahead of them and it's joyful. And that's really how you should feel at the end of a game of Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
So that's my take. Yeah, rules and schmools and whatever. I don't care. Like, because that's not going to translate over to a movie. But
right.
I'm curious, like, what for you do you feel like you could actually take like your kids and they'd enjoy it without having to play? Do you think you could do you have other friends that you know or have no knowledge of D&D? Maybe aren't guys who even really enjoy Lord of the Rings and take them in. Like, do you think they could have a fun time watching it without knowing stuff? Because I got to go with someone who never played D&D and they still thought it was a pretty fun movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say fun movie is what I'd label it as, It followed like a pretty standard story arc and, had comedic relief sprinkled throughout, good character development throughout, and I don't think it's going to be remembered for very long, but I think that, I think anybody could have fun watching it.
Yeah.
And
I think it definitely is struggling going up against Mario Brothers for sure. Like coming out around the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. For another game that people are crazy about.
I'm just saying, I know when Billie Jean and I went to the movies, I was like, hey, these are the two movies out that are getting decent reviews from audiences right now. Like, which one do you want to go? She's like, well, how about Mario Brothers? And I was like, if my wife is picking Mario Brothers over D&D, how many other people are? Just because they're not as familiar with the content.
Yeah. I thought for the D&D one, I feel like two ways it could have gone would either have been kind of take it into the Jumanji space. Did you see those movies?
Yeah.
Where it had the actual the actual kids, and then they became the characters
in the game.
Yeah. And even if you didn't even need to bring a story to those characters, but they kind of addressed that it was a game throughout. In the opening, Chris Pine's describing his backstory, going on and on about it and these things, and that's what they paid a lot of homage to Dungeons and Dragons being a game. By fact, they could have either made it it was a game being played more, or for more younger kids audience, or taking it over into the rated R, almost rated R space.
I gotcha.
For most people, I'd say most people who are playing D&D are between the ages of 21 and 42.
Interesting.
And they're males.
Yeah.
Generally speaking.
Yeah.
So like this could have been a chance to like the movie budget was $150 million.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they could have pushed even more into that adult space with it. But they kind of just wrote a safe middle ground line.
Yeah.
Which made it exactly what it was, which was a fun movie.
I think a lot of that too is they probably don't know who the hell was going to come watch.
Right.
And now that they have those metrics and stuff, they can decide like, all right, what's the next IP?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I think there's so many stories to be told in all of that. Like, you know, I mean, it's 60 years of stories. It's been around longer than Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
There was already volumes of books filled up with stories taking place in these various settings of Dungeons and Dragons before George Lucas wrote the first Star Wars, right? So that said, there is definitely, I think, a world where in I don't know, 3 to 10 years from now, I think we will see like a pretty Peter Jackson-esque large scale, maybe not rated R,
right?
But like a dark fantasy.
Even like Lord of the Rings was PG-13.
It was,
but it
like,
had a different vibe than this movie.
Yeah. And I think there's a world where we see that pretty soon on the horizon as one of the newer films come out here in the next few years. But I also think we could see a realm where like we just keep getting more Guardians of the Galaxy kind of versions of this kind of story, because they're easy to tell. They're easy, quick stories to tell.
Yeah, because I feel like the key for this one would be to actually grab onto a more compelling story of characters.
Yeah.
Like, you know, this was just like so generic in some ways, which I don't complain about generic movies. I enjoy them.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if you wanted to like build a movie brand around Dungeons and Dragons or whatever, I think it would need to be like someone like Aragorn, like Luke Skywalker, who you like. All these characters were just like, they're just these one-off characters, but these characters who you like, you want to see them again, and you care about them and root for them more.
Yeah,
you know.
No, I get what you're saying. I agree with you. Before we do our hot takes, let's crank through some trivia and goofs, and I'd like to hear, before we do that, the one thing that like was your favorite part of the movie, like overall, like, man, I just really love that they did that, or I love this scene, or whatever, like the thing that you enjoyed the most, and then the thing that you just were like, yeah, it was rough. That was rough. That should have been cut, or they should have just put more money into that area, or they should have casted somebody else.
Right. I can't tell. I thought it was hilarious. I'm starting with your second question first.
Oh.
I couldn't tell if this was a good move or not, because it did have a lot of comedic relief in it. But it was when Bradley Cooper's cameo in it as the Hobbit.
Yeah.
Which
not Hobbit, that's actually licensed.
Right.
Halfling.
Yeah. Yeah. Even like the phrases he says, he's like, you know, a couple things he said was, one was like, I've been gardening and working on my book, and this is my walking stick. And then he talked about his wife, and she's like, she doesn't like us, you know, going on adventures or going out or whatever. Like, you know, but the, I don't know if other people like that or not. I thought it was hilarious. And it works for if you're trying to be funny, which I think it played well. But then I think at the same time, going into this, I was expecting like more of a serious movie.
Gotcha.
With like more deep references to Dungeons and Dragons that only Dungeons and Dragons people understand, with like 3 or 4 jokes throughout.
So you expected it to be like way more Lord of the Rings, where like there's one line that Aragorn says, and it's like there's people who read the books like, huh, yeah, he's right. And then everyone's like, who the fuck is that guy?
Exactly. Like that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of more in there. This was like Shark Boy and Lava Girl for like adults. You know, like,
wow. I would say Shark Boy and Lava Girl for adults is more of like the Ant-Man movie.
Yeah. Yeah, but just I feel like, you know, in that sense, and so I thought it was gonna be more on that other serious side, with some like, you know, because Dungeons and Dragons folks are like, I think there are some very passionate people around the game.
Sure.
That they'd be like,
They're the loudest voices, though, man. The cringiest are the loudest.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to keep in mind. The majority of people are probably a lot like I bet most games look a lot like that movie.
Right. That's probably true. But I bet there's some out there that are like held in high regard, like certain storylines, certain characters, or certain things. So
I had 6 people committed to like a 3.5-year campaign.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. People put in years of their life.
People schedule their lives around it.
Yeah. They're like their wife's like, the doctor thinks the baby should be induced on Thursday, and like, babe. Like, can we please just do Wednesday before, so the next night I can go to Dungeons and Dragons? She's like, you think you're going to Dungeons and Dragons the day after I have this baby? And like, what? But the part I enjoyed most about this movie was, I think I really just liked the shapeshifter character. Was she a druid?
She's a druid. Yeah, she's a druid.
There was just the scene where she's running out of the castle and doing a couple other things. It just sparked my imagination. That made me that's like, of all the things I saw, that was just one of those things that made me feel like a kid all of a sudden, where I was like, I wish I could turn into a hawk.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely inside was like, that'd be pretty cool.
I think that scene, that not montage, but
that chase scene.
Yeah, the pursuit of her as she's shape-shifting in different animals is like, every druid player's fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like the DM would create a scenario where all they have to do to get away is use all 4 uses of their wild shape in under 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Because do they only get a limited amount of things they can do?
Yeah, which is why, I said, like, that stuff's kind of thrown out the window, because the amount of time she was able to change, it's like, okay, like, she could just, there's no limit, right?
Right. That's why I kept being like, turn into a dragon that's fatter than the fat dragon. You know what I mean?
You can't turn it into a dragon. They only get turned into beast.
Mm.
Technically, she turned into an owl bear, Pat. And owl bears are monstrosities and not beasts, so she shouldn't have been able to do that, but they kind of bent the rules for her.
I see now.
Is that enough? Was that enough? Actually, for you?
Yeah,
Like, did that overdose you a little bit?
Like, just like how people always be like in Lord of the Rings, like, why didn't the eagles just fly the freaking hobbits over Mount Doom in the first place? They could drop the ring in. Same thing, like with her, like the whole time it's just like, turn into something dope and end this thing.
There are rules.
There are rules.
There are rules in this world.
Yes.
You can only pull on the weave of magic so much.
Yeah. But that was my favorite. I think that was my favorite kind of part. Just was like, it sparked my childlike imagination.
Dude, the thing I enjoyed the most, that I loved, like, it made me feel like a kid. It doesn't matter how bad it is. Anytime there's practical effects, like, dude, the fucking costumes, dude.
Oh, yeah.
The dudes that are the bird people, the dragonborns, like, their costumes in it. I don't care that their mouth just goes whenever they talk. You know what I mean? It's just there's no lips. There's no, like, phonetics. I don't care. I don't care that little cat baby looked like the most, like, Toys R Us, like, get it for $29, like, animatronic. I loved it. That fish wasn't real, but damn it, did it not just look awesome?
Yep.
And like, so all the practical effects stuff I love, and like, that's always my favorite part of movies, when they like dive in on practical effects, because I think it always looks way more appropriate and less uncanny than CGI.
Yeah, because with CGI, like, if you don't go 110% on that, like, do all practical effects and then brush in like all CGI over it, it just looks, our eyes catch it, and it looks fake.
Can you even explain why the T-Rex in Jurassic Park 1 from 1993 looks better than any of the fucking T-Rexes you saw in Jurassic World?
I think just because it was actually wet. You know what I mean? Bro, like, I don't know why, but
no, like, every visual artist back. No, I'm doing all these water sims to simulate the like actual solubility of a reptilian skin.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, though. But it was but this one was actually wet.
Some guy working on the Jurassic Park movie back in 1993, he's like, so I started running this computer to render each frame about 10 weeks ago, and if the power goes out, we're shit out of luck.
Yeah.
like it's still rendering. But I mean, that's the thing with CGI, right? It's like it's such an uncanny. You can't put your finger on it why it looks real when it does and when it doesn't. You know, and then practical is just a good thing, bro. Like, can you imagine if you had seen the first Predator movie and it was like 1985 special like CGI?
It would have been horrible.
It would have been awful, dude.
Yeah.
But like you don't. No one forgets the Predator's face when that mask comes off.
No, dude. I watched.
No one forgets the alien and how that little mouth bites out. And like special effects are way better than VFX.
Oh yeah, I watched Predator for the first time this week.
No,
I know, dude.
Are you for real?
I know. Isn't that
oh my
crazy?
gosh, we should do a special brews and reviews for the Predator next week.
Dude,
I could talk about that movie for years.
he disturbed me. He scared me.
Bro, the scariest thing is how he
Laughs like a human at the end, and
and he just yells out quotes that mean nothing, but you're like,
yeah,
why would he yell out what Billy said?
yeah. He's just parroting things.
Yeah.
And and I feel like
I'm a sexual Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just have to say that. That's always like my favorite.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck line?
Yeah, dude,
what was that
one
mean,
got me
bro?
too. I was like, I don't know what that means, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. Oh, okay, dude. Yeah.
But we've talked about a lot of other movies this podcast, which I feel like
Is a good plus to this movie?
which I feel
Is
like
it a pointer or a con?
I feel like it's a
Wait, hold on. Wait, before we go too far.
yeah.
I do want to say the thing I hated the most about this
Yes.
movie was the Bradley Cooper scene.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was so phoned in, and I realized
Yeah.
why. It's because it was filmed after the entire movie was filmed.
Really?
Yeah, Bradley Cooper saw the whole movie as a pre-screening, said, I want to do a cameo. Do you think you can fit it in post?
So was there a guy who got kicked out?
No,
Well, as her husband?
there was never that scene.
But then how did she get the staff?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I think she just went in and it was going to be like an argument at TIFF or whatever.
Yeah.
But
she just like takes the staff. Like, this was
I
mine.
don't know. Yeah, but essentially, all like whatever it was got replaced with this Bradley cameo after he saw the movie, and that's why it was so like not as good as the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
with like Gandalf and wow, I feel so bad. Not Bilbo.
Bilbo.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But dude, that was rough. That was
Yeah.
rough at some points in that scene.
That's what
it was funny rough though.
Yeah, that's what I was like. If this was a serious movie
Yeah.
and this happened, it would ruined it. But it
Yeah.
was like, this is an okay movie, and so I think this is hilarious.
Yeah, exactly how I felt too, right?
Yeah.
I don't want it gone from the movie, but it was definitely the part that I enjoyed the least. I was just like, dude, this is like I cannot get over how clear it is that they are not in the same room talking to each other.
Yep.
You know,
Yep, the
that was
filming
really
was
rough.
bad.
Anyways, so you think, is it good or bad that we talk about a lot of other movies while talking about this one?
I think it shows how unmemorable this one maybe will end up being.
It's a fart in the wind, but it's a fart that you get a whiff of, and you're like, damn, I'm a machine. And, like, it keeps you going for the rest of the day.
I like it. All right, what happened? What's some trivia in this one?
Yeah, trivia. Here we go. One moment. So I'm not doing like the Easter eggs. Like, here's all the references to Dungeons and Dragons, and here's the ones that are 3rd edition, 5th edition. Here are the ones to the Legend of Drizzt books. No, these are just fun things for the movie. So Chris Pine agreed to appear because the role of Edgin is very atypical for a fantasy film leading man, and because he sat in on his nephew playing a D&D campaign and saw how much fun he and his friends were having.
Yep. And I thought that was great because
So sweet.
we've only seen him as the guy, Captain Kirk, Jack Ryan.
I think his worst films are the ones where he's the guy.
Where he's the guy.
Because I love him when he's in like The Outlaw King. And you could argue that in The Outlaw King, he's kind of the guy.
Right. He starts out as the guy, but doesn't necessarily get there.
And a lot of his homies are like, oh, I want to see a movie about that guy. I want to see a movie about fucking Douglas.
Yeah. Yep. And in one of the first fight scenes where Michelle Rodriguez is just like slaying all these knights, and he's just
That was so funny.
trying to get his rope.
That was a
undone.
really funny.
I thought
That was when it
hilarious.
was like, oh, this is Monty Python.
Yeah, and that's when we also realized, like, oh, he's worthless.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
there's nothing. He brings
Yeah.
nothing, and he's like smiling the whole time.
Oh, dude, but it was so funny, man. Tell me that wasn't like an actually really enjoyable scene.
It was.
Next trivia bit. the guitarist for Rage Against the Machine, Tom Morello, made a cameo in the arena sequence. I don't know who he was, but he was one of the people running around in the arena. Pretty badass, right?
Yeah.
Like that's when you know like your franchise is a big deal, when someone's like, "Hey, can I be in it?"
Yeah. And someone who's
we
a
play
big,
D&D all the
who's a
time on
big
the
deal.
road.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of. I wonder if he was super make-upped up, like if he was the dwarf who got attacked by the cat.
I don't know,
Or if he
yeah.
was like,
It's a displacer beast,
Yeah.
not a cap, but okay.
yeah, yeah, whatever, dude.
Roger Jean Page. Did you? No, I copied that. That's why the E is proper.
Mhm.
Roger Jean Page improvised the scene where Zenk steps right over the boulder, barely even breaking his stride.
Really?
Yeah, apparently he improvised it, and then they're like, that was funny. And then so they made Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez
Say that
like
stuff about
do
him.
a response to it. Like,
Mm.
is he gonna walk over that rock? Is he just gonna keep going,
Yeah.
around it? No. Oh, he's going over it. He's going over it.
That's funny.
Which I think is cool because that guy is such a effing beautiful, chiseled man
Yeah.
that you're like, he's probably too used to everyone thinking like, hey, we need a hot, strong jaw boy in this movie
Mhm.
who also looks emotionally delicate. And he like just the fact that he took this role on and like this is just a joke role. Like,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to take that character serious at all. That character is
Mhm.
not supposed to be like really threatening or intimidating. You're supposed to roll your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he did that, I thought was really cool and like
Mm-hmm.
self-aware of the actor because it's definitely it's borderline a cameo.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because he doesn't come back at the end of the movie to save the day
No.
when I expected him to.
Me too. I thought he was gonna show up again. He
Yeah.
he doesn't come back.
The film continues, as I said earlier, the Michelle Rodriguez inexplicable streak of dying on screen only to be resurrected or reappear somehow. Examples include Lost, Resident Evil Retribution, Machete, and Fast and Furious 6. Dude, she just dies and comes back. I really expected her to be in Avatar 2. I really
Yeah.
did.
Just
But instead they did that with Sigourney Weaver. Did you see Avatar 2?
I was not about to go waste my time with that, dude. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's-
I didn't
because-
see it
because-
either, but I just seen enough of it. Like I seen enough like reviews and stuff on YouTube. I'm like, well, I'll just watch it when it comes to HBO like streaming.
Yeah. Yep. Oh man, that's funny.
You got some goofs, Pat? Some goofy moments?
Just one goof.
One good goof. I'm
You
sure
know.
there was other goofs of like, actually,
Yeah, there's probably lots of there's lots of rule breaking and stuff.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned about the owlbear not being a beast, but a mystical
a monstrosity.
a monstrosity. Yeah, a charismatic megafauna.
No.
Oh, it would be a charismatic megafauna if it were to exist in real life.
It would. It
But
would.
this one is about Chris Pine's character, the Bard, and it just says that basically bards were jacks of all trades.
It's literally a feature of their thing.
Is that they can kind of do it all.
Yeah, it's like literally called Jack of all trades in the game.
Mm. And so you mentioned this earlier, but they have some rogue abilities. They are competent fighters, and they have access to magic spells. And kind of some of the stuff we were just talking about was that he doesn't fight much at all throughout the whole thing. No magic spells.
The most magical part about him is that his loot doesn't break every time he cracks someone over the head with it.
Yep. And so I was thinking, I said this before we were recording, but I thought it would have been great to have at least give him spells that are seemingly completely meaningless. Like he can do these things that are almost like party tricks, or like they're really incredible, but they had never could serve a purpose. But somehow at the end of the movie, they come in to serve a purpose. Because I feel like that would also be something that a really good dungeon master would weave in to their story, giving the character something at the beginning and then bringing it full circle. Like 3 years later, something everybody forgot about. Would that be true?
Yeah, no, that definitely happens.
Yeah,
I literally did that with my players. Anyways, overall, I'm going to give the movie a thumbs up. And I'm just going to, I know this may seem unfair, but I'm giving it a thumbs up because of how much was stacked against it and being legible and watchable.
It's a tall order to fill.
Oh, so tall.
A lot of critical people.
I think it was harder to do a good version of this than it was to like make mediocre Marvel films.
Yeah,
And
'cause-
I would say like I would watch this movie any day over the first 2 Iron Man movies, over the first Captain America movie, like over the first Hulk movie.
well, that's that's just painful.
Over the first Thor movie.
Yeah.
Oh, the second Thor movie was pretty good. But like this is better than a lot of other adaptations. I think a lot of other first adaptations. Well, not first, I guess. But anyways,
Yeah, I'm giving it just a straight 0.
that's all right.
You know,
Not a negative review here on the Mick
not
Pat
negative.
Show.
Just it's just a move.
And why would you give it a flat thumbs? How would you describe giving it a solid no thumbs up, no thumbs down?
I feel like I'll never watch it again.
Really, even if it's on and like it's like safe to watch with your kids.
Yeah, like I'd probably just put on something else. Like put on something that's a 1 or 2 thumber. Because I got a lot of movies to show the kids.
You
know?
but like that is age appropriate.
Not, I mean, being as they're like 3 and 1 at this point, like we watched Land Before Time,
Hell yeah,
and
sharp teeth.
that
dude.
was a little bit bit
'cause
advanced for a
his mom
3-year-old.
dies, and then your 3-year-old's just thinking about what they're going to do when their mom dies.
Exactly.
Are they going to go live with which grandparents are they going to live with?
And the sharp tooth is scary.
It's
like when you watch
terrifying,
when you
dude.
watch it with a child, you're like, my child was just standing, arms at his sides, eyes bugged out, just staring, and then he just covered his face.
Bro,
And I
you
just
have to keep in mind like up until probably like 2nd grade, I thought I had a shot with Daphne. I thought Daphne
yeah.
from Scooby-Doo was a real person.
Yeah, yeah.
Like up until like that age, like you're not entirely 100% convinced cartoons can't be
Yeah.
real.
You had a shot with Velma until last year.
Oh, why did you say that? Oh, because
She turned out to be a lesbian.
Yeah, she doesn't like white guys.
Yeah.
Anywho, so Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves gets a solid 1 thumbs up here at the Mick and Pat Show. 1 out of 4. That's not an F. That's above average.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever even give your thumbs up for the beer? I don't think you did, bro.
Did I? I didn't.
I think
thought
we
did.
I think we got off track. I
gi-
gave it a thumbs
I
up.
was giving it a 1 thumb.
Oh, so we got a 2 out of 4.
2 out of 4.
2 out of a possible 4, which really is like a 6 out of 8.
Yep.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Folks, thanks for joining us. It was a fun time. It's been a moment since we were able to just sit down and chill and just do a brews and reviews. We were kind of busy with some other things, so it was nice to get in here and crank one out. Yeah, anything you got to add, Pat, before we sign off?
If you are a beer drinker, want to follow us on Untapped, our review will be on there. You could chime in with some comments on there as well. You can leave a review on the podcast, and you can tune in with us next week.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, Ken. Till next time.
Thanks for tuning in. If you love this episode, drop us a review. If you have qualms or comments, leave us a voicemail on our website. While you're there, check out our latest news, merch, and deals from our sponsors. Till next time, Ken.